on, it's the weekend. Welcome again to Massey, United Insurance's Line and Length. It's the cricket program where we look at the sport not only in the region, but internationally as well. I'm Barry Wilkinson, so good to have you watch the show. Well, this week we have resurrected a former international umpire, Lloyd Barker. Well, how long haven't we seen Lloyd Barker? It's been about 20 years since he's retired, but he has a lot to say about Sunil Narine, his action, and going forward, what he thinks umpires around the region and the world need to hear. We're going to talk to Lloyd Barker on that particular issue. Also, Conde Riley, he is a member of the BCA board. He's also on the WICB board. He's chairman of the Barbados Pride franchise, speaks about those new measures that CARICOM want to introduce and what the WICB has to say about it. We're going to hear from him for the first time. Dwayne Smith, Dwayne Smith, exciting Barbados and West Indies batsman, has opened a cricket shop and a sports store at Sheraton Mall in Barbados. We're going to take a little tour and hear from Dwayne Smith on his new venture. And you remember the All-Stars tournament in the USA? We got the executive producer of that event. He's going to tell us the difficulties, the challenges, and indeed what needs to be done to make that annual event again in 2016. All to watch in the next half an hour of Mass United Insurance's Line and Length. But first, Umpire Barker is here with us. We look back at some footage of Umpire Barker. Andrew Seeley's also here with me. We haven't seen you in quite a long time, not since making those decisions at Kensington and Oval that were famous and some infamous.
You've been looking the wrong places.
Well, look, it's good to have you on the show. You've never been on our program. First of all, what has Lloyd Barker been doing in his heyday? I think you're in your 70s now.
Yes, I'm in my 70s. Not too long ago, I'm spending a lot of time with the church, quite a lot of time, and doing a few things at home and having a ball.
Well, that's always the best way to be. I know you still follow your cricket. Now, we wanted to talk to you about this situation with Sunil Narine because it's one that does not seem to be going away, but seems to be getting worse day by day, tour by tour. What are your initial thoughts, first of all, on Sunil Narine, his action, and the possible ramifications that this latest report saying that he his action has been called into question?
Well, I've never umpired him. I've only seen him on television, I've seen footage. It is difficult to separate him from quite a few bowlers, other than perhaps Sarwan. Sarwan was probably the most legit that we would have seen, but I can't remember many off spinners. Who, at some stage of their career, did not look as though they were not quite doing the right thing. Mm-hmm. But of course, in my day, as I would have said previously, we never, we didn't do what they're doing now. The umpires at that time would call you if they considered that you were chucking. But it's a bit different now where they view the footage afterwards, and if they're suspicious, and then it moves on. It's a bit different.
What constitutes a chuck?
That little elbow of ours, when you straighten it at the point of delivery, just before delivery, if you do that, then that is considered to be a throw. There's the misguided opinion that it is to do with the wrist. It has absolutely nothing to do with the wrist. It is the elbow. And if the elbow straightens, then they consider. And now they have this 15-degree thing, which is telling you that not everybody has a straight elbow anyway. So they are allowing you a 15-degree straightening just before delivery.
Well, you suggested just now that the whole question of the wrist was not relevant. So what's the position with all these players wearing long sleeve shirts, suggesting that you don't want to see their wrists?
But
is there anything to it to wearing a long sleeve shirt?
Not as far as I can see, because the elbow is the key thing, not the wrist. Fast bowlers tend to use their wrists in different positions to get cut and so on, but it is the wrist that is the factor, and it's when you straighten that's just on the point of delivery, that's where the problem with throws come in. Nothing to do with the wrist.
Now, you mentioned that we're talking wrist, of course, or an elbow. Mm-hmm. There's been a suggestion obviously more in Trinidad than anywhere else, that Narine is being highlighted when there are so many others that are bowling or chucking in a similar fashion. Your thoughts on the suggestion that Narine is being singled out?
Well, I know once a bowler is too successful, then you tend to be highlighted. But it is a little strange that Narine has been bowling all the years and doing well, and then suddenly, and not even in first class matches, I think it was in the IPL.
That's right.
Where he first came up against umpires who thought that he wasn't doing the right thing. I do not know that Narine can now change from what he was doing years ago. Okay. I think that is going to be extremely difficult. And you see, when you go now and you have these tests and they say, well, you need to do something, and you spend some time with the experts, and they say, okay, you're all right now. When you get out in the heat of the battle, you tend to go back to what it is you were doing. And especially, as I said, with these bowlers who have been doing it for a long time, it is going to be extremely difficult to change.
Do you think that his career could possibly be over?
I worry for his career. I really worry. Because he himself, his psychological, his performance now, he's going to be thinking all the time, have I gone back, or have I been am I now doing what they suggested I do? And his performance is going to be somewhat, not like it was before. I worry for him.
Well, let's not worry for Narine just yet, Lloyd. Let's talk a bit about the whole question of technology in international cricket. Now, when you, and especially umpiring, when you left the scene back in the 90s, there was very little television involved, prediction, umpires call, etc., etc. Your thoughts, Lloyd Barker, as an umpire in 2015, how would you operate?
With my tongue in my cheek, I would say I wish it were there then. But the truth is that we had the runouts, the hit wickets, and the
right.
stuff.
Yeah, because you had the side-on cameras.
Right.
Yeah.
We never had if the ball did go to the boundary. We didn't have if the catch was cleanly taken, and worst of all, we didn't have the leg before decisions. I am not too keen on technology predicting the path that a ball would take if it had not struck the pad. How many times have we seen the ball beat the batsman and the wicketkeeper throw his hands in the air and the ball beats him and the stumps and go to the boundary? I don't know what would have been predicted. That is my main concern. I think technology is very helpful to the umpire in all the other cases. Was the catch taken cleanly? Did the ball cross the boundary? Was it 4? Was it 6? And now there are so many innovations anyway that you need 100 cameras on the ground. But I don't think it is a bad thing in itself. I worry about the predictive path. That's my main concern.
So how difficult would it be for an umpire now? I sense that there's a concern on the part of some umpires of relating to all the technology. How difficult do you think it is to be an umpire now?
The difficulty comes where you umpire your local cricket, you umpire your regional cricket, and then suddenly you're umpiring a test match. Because at the regional level, you don't have the amount of technology that you have in the test matches. So you tend to relax a little bit too much, I think.
You mean in the test match?
In the test match.
To rely on the technology?
You rely on the technology. If you notice, they call for the technology for everything now.
Even though we can see it is 4 runs
because they don't want to be shown to be wrong. And who can blame them for that anyway? But in my day we had to make the decision on the spur of the moment. We got some right, most right. We got some wrong. And honest batsmen especially would tell you, they may have had a hard one here and there, but there was 1 or 2 where they thought that they should have been given and they weren't given. So it was 6 1/2 dozen in my time.
All right, you're watching Mass United Insurance's Line and Length. We'll be right back.
Across the Caribbean, more people are placing their trust in Massey United Insurance for the protection of the things that are important to them, their homes, businesses, and their prized possessions. That's because Massey United Insurance offers excellent general insurance coverage to help you manage whatever life sends your way. Our cadre of well-reputed agencies and trained insurance professionals are always ready to provide you with sound advice and prompt service. Choose the security and sound strength that is Massey United Insurance.
So Conde Raleigh is here with us on the program. Of course, Conde Raleigh is on the BCA board, the WICB board, and he is the chairman of the Barbados Pride franchise. No stranger to cricket administration in this part of the world and indeed the region. Conde, so good to have you. No, we have heard a little from a board man's perspective on these new measures implemented or supposedly to be implemented by the WICB and the whole CARICOM committee. What are your thoughts initially as an experienced administrator on what was proposed and what the WICB want to counter-propose?
Well, first I'd say is that the committee is basically advisory. It was set up to give advice to the WICB, and I'm sure that the respective territories will go through the recommendations. I know there is a bit of angst about not meeting with the committee sooner, but it must be understood that the directors of the Western Cricket Board have a fiduciary responsibility to the other members of the territorial boards and the membership of, say, the Barbados Cricket Association, which is capped at 2,000 members. So once those recommendations or the advice coming from the committee came to the Western Cricket Board, the president asked the directors to discuss the matter with the territorial boards as well as their membership. And the directors have a fiduciary responsibility to so do. Mm-hmm. That could not be done in a day or two. As you know, to get a special meeting at the BCA, there's a period that you have to
give members enough time, yeah.
Yeah, to have a special meeting and so on. And I believe that going forward, once everybody's patient, that we will have the meeting. The other thing is too that the directors of the Western Cricket Board, they have jobs and so on. And I believe that it was agreed that with a meeting set for 12th of December, which is a couple of weeks away, to get everybody, to get time off from work, to organize the travel to wherever the meeting would be. That would be a logistical nightmare. And it was felt that we should have that meeting on the 12th or the 13th. I think another day has been added to the Western Cricket Board meeting so that everybody will be there and we can have a meaningful discussion on the proposals that have been put forward.
Do you think the proposals put forward have been, or not necessarily good for West Indies cricket, but are fair?
I believe that some of the consultation, and it would save time, should have been done with the actual shareholders. There's 6 shareholders. And I don't know how you could just disband a registered company with specific dictates in its memorandum or articles of association as to how the actual Western Cricket Board is run. To dissolve it, to send a directive that it should be dissolved, that would sit well with the shareholders. And remember, there's 6 shareholders: Barbados, Trinidad, Guyana, Jamaica, Leewards. So I think that was a bit out of hand, in that you cannot dissolve a company just like that without respect to the actual shareholders and their feelings. You must remember that these people run cricket in the territories. I believe that the Barbados Cricket Association certainly runs cricket very well here.
Yeah.
And there just needs to be more discussion and a bit more respect for what the territorial boards do. I can't speak for all the territories, but I believe in the majority of them, cricket administration is taken seriously. I know certainly in Barbados, we take it very seriously. In actual fact, we had professionalized cricket in Barbados from way back in 2011. We had set up our Center of Excellence in 2008. And I think that our cricket, Barbados' cricket, is on the way back up. We have 7 guys in the West Indies team going off to Australia, and if you add Jonathan Carter, there'll be 8 members of our current team presently representing the West Indies team. We also have 5 very young ladies representing the West Indies team.
Right.
Haley Matthews is still at school. Shaquana Quinton, she's a teenager. We have a very young women's team. And I only read through some of the stuff in the recommendations about the way this West Indies Cricket Board is treating women's cricket. I mean, I was aghast. It's not true. And I don't think that enough research was done with regard to that.
Conde, you've given some praise to Barbados' cricket. I know you just were running for president, but you were happy with how things are going since you did not seek that election? Yeah,
I mean, I'm one who believes in a democratic process. And once I see things, a change, in terms of, my baby was always the center of excellence, and I was very upset when, for a year, there was no membership. There was nothing happening at the center of excellence. And I believe that we must not rest on our laurels as far as that center of excellence is concerned, because it started in 2008, and all these guys that are present in the West Indies team right now were teenagers.
You've had a serious hand in the ongoing WICB PCL. In fact, you're the chairman of the Barbados Pride franchise. Into its second year, is this the right way we're going forward? Are you happy with how the tournament is going?
Yeah, Barry, I believe that amateurs don't beat professionals. And as I was saying, for 20 years I've heard talk about a professional cricket league, and this board has had the will to get it going and finance. There's a 4-year period where we must find sponsorship and so on to keep it going thereafter. But last year, our Barbados Pride team scored 10 centuries, 7.5 centuries, and I believe, and I know, that the goal this year is to convert half of those 17.5 centuries and move it more to like 17 centuries. Right. We started well, with Craig getting a century and Shamar Brooks, and I hope that the other youngsters who are now in the team, with 7 guys going off to Australia, will continue the good batting and cricket that they've been playing for the last year.
All right, wonderful stuff. Conde Riley, good to have him on the program. When we come back, Dwayne Smith, yeah, the explosive Barbados, West Indies, and indeed batsman for Chennai, because I don't know what franchise it will be next year. But he has opened a new cricket shop and a sports shop at Sheraton Mall. And we're going to take you there and show you some of the nice gear he has on store.
Across the Caribbean, more people are placing their trust in Massey United Insurance for the protection of the things that are important to them, their homes, businesses, and their prized possessions. That's because Massey United Insurance offers excellent general insurance coverage to help you manage whatever life sends your way. Our cadre of well-reputed agencies and trained insurance professionals are always ready to provide you with sound advice and prompt service. Choose the security and sound strength that is Massey United Insurance.
Welcome back to the program. Well, you know, I've been watching eagerly how this All-Stars competition that went on last week in the USA took place. There was lots of excitement, lots of big sixes, lots of people coming to see their former stars. And it was indeed a true all-star event. One of the men behind it is Peter Steep. He's an executive producer. He was the executive producer of that All-Stars. And Pete, it's so good to see you. Good to have you on the program. I want to ask you, first of all, what was it like from behind the scenes to direct and to be involved in that All-Star event?
Well, Barry, doing cricket at this level in the United States presented a few challenges. Obviously, we did not have regulation cricket venues. So using Major League Baseball stadiums, while they were excellent for drawing crowds, the setup to make an international broadcast work in the way that everybody would expect it to work did have some challenges. We did need to bring in drop-in pitches, so that in and of itself, plus the shape of the ground, made some of the boundaries square of the wicket fairly short, and even some of them on the straight hit fairly short. But all in all, it did go a lot better than it may have gone in year one.
Okay, so you played in 3 states. You played in Los Angeles, you played in New York, and you also played in Houston. Out of those 3 states, which state did you find had the most support for that type of cricket?
Well, we deliberately designed the tour to include as much support as we could from the South Asian community, and of course New York, Los Angeles and Houston all have very strong South Asian support. We did find we expected it to be the best in New York, and that turned out to be the way it turned out. But we got very strong support, of course, in Houston and Los Angeles.
Well, as we're watching some of the video of it now, I know that with so many former stars, some of the fans there seem to be pro-Asian. Which cricketer would you say had the majority of support?
Well, Barry, I think you could probably guess that one. There's no doubt that Sachin Tendulkar is a god of cricket, regardless of where he is, and that includes the United States. It was absolutely remarkable, the response that he got, both in walking out of the hotel, getting into a car, practicing, and of course playing. Anything he did, he was just cheered wildly, and it's absolutely remarkable.
Is this going to be an annual event?
Well, the group who have put this together, including Shane and Sachin, have signed the players for 3 years. So this is year 1 of a 3-year deal, and details of further matches for year 2 and 3 will be available to public hopefully sooner rather than later. So at the very least, we have 2 more seasons of cricket in the US.
Now, were there any major issues from your perspective, and is this something that you want to recommend to the organisers next year to improve upon?
Well, I'll answer the second one first, Barry. What the organisers need to do is get the word out sooner so that there's even more support. But in terms of issues, I think I alluded to that a little bit earlier, where just getting the grounds available, or making the grounds available, and getting them to a level where you can play cricket at a decent international level was a challenge. And the venues are only available to us at the conclusion of the baseball season in the US. Those great clubs like the Dodgers and the Mets and the Astros, they're not going to let us dig up their grounds during the height of baseball season for obvious reasons. So the limitations in the US will always be until there is a bona fide cricket venue and these games are played on baseball stadiums. We are restricted to playing those games at the conclusion of the baseball season. That would be the main issue that I would think would be considered.
I must ask you this question before I go. I know you're heading back to Australia now. Your hometown is Sydney. Mitchell Johnson has just retired from international cricket. Did it surprise you, and what do you think of his career?
Well, yeah, as an Aussie cricket supporter, and as a cricket supporter in general, I certainly miss him. 73 test matches, more than 300 wickets, made 100, I think at number 10 or 9 or 10. The guy was a really good player. He had a lot of critics early on in his career, but he's been, really has come to be one of the more resilient seam bowlers in the last few years, given some of the injuries that he's had, and the way he's being able to come back from those injuries. And there are a lot of batsmen, New Zealand guys included on this current tour of Australia. There are a lot of batsmen around the world who would be quite happy to see the end of him. And I think that in and of itself shows you what a great impact he had on the game. He was a really good player.
Wow, good stuff. Look, Peter Steep, thank you so much. Executive producer for the All-Star event just climaxed in the USA.
Across the Caribbean, more people are placing their trust in Massey United Insurance for the protection of the things that are important to them, their homes, businesses, and their prized possessions. That's because Massey United Insurance offers excellent general insurance coverage to help you manage whatever life sends your way. Our cadre of well-reputed agencies and trained insurance professionals are always ready to provide you with sound advice and prompt service. Choose the security and sound strength that is Massey United Insurance.
Over the past few weeks, you've been hearing about DR Sports. Today, we take the time to talk to the man behind it all, Dwayne Smith. Dwayne, DR Sports, just tell us a bit about it.
DR Sports actually came about. I actually started selling some gear on my own from just out the back of the car, and I realized that I got a lot of attention from it. So I just decided I want to get into sports, and I've been hearing a lot from a lot of people with hockey and all that as well too, and football. So I just want to get a start, and that's the start with the cricket stuff, and then I want to push on from there and look to expand with other sports.
Okay, you said in terms of expanding in other sports, you mentioned hockey, you mentioned football. Any other sports that you're looking to take on?
Well, looking at road tennis as well, netball. I think rugby is becoming a big sport in home Barbados as well. So I'm trying to get into everything. I think a lot of people now are looking for like gym stuff as well. So I want to get into almost everything dealing with sports and stuff.
You also have many youngsters who are looking up to you. Will it only be sports gear that you're offering, or at some point in time can youngsters come in and have a chat with you here in the store as well?
I think they can come to me anywhere. I've done it. I think I was shopping and all that already, so picking up my daughter from school. It doesn't matter to me. When it comes to that, I'm always ready. And
many cricketers have actually, ventured into other areas as well, in terms of bars, shops as well. Is this a shift in focus for you?
I wouldn't say it's a shift in focus. I still focus on my cricket. That's the number one. So I just say it's just something that I want to make sure that when I finish play cricket, I still have something to look back on. I've seen a lot of people that had it all that it's gone by the wayside. So I don't want to be one of those other people. So I just want to push on from here and actually expand. In the process of building a second house now as well too. So it's just for me to keep doing the things that I'm doing.
You mentioned the end of your career. Do you believe, how many years do you believe you have left in you when it comes to international cricket?
I don't know. I think at this point in time, the way how things go, it's up to the selectors now to decide your career. But for me, I still think I have a lot to offer. That's providing that I'm given the chance. But I know I still have other places that I can take my skills and stuff like that. Saying IPL, probably the Pakistan League if it gets off, and other leagues around the world.
Selectors in terms of the West Indies selectors, I'm assuming. So pretty much you're hoping still to play for the West Indies team?
I'm always looking to play for West Indies. Still have only playing 50 over now and 2020 because I've retired from the 4-day stuff. So it's just for me to get into performances. Then it's up to them. If they don't, well, then you know what it is. But I still have other things to fall back on. I can go to England. Hopefully the Pakistan League, as I said earlier, can get off, and then still have IPL. So not really too bothered about it, but still I'm always willing to play for West Indies.
Wow, bumper edition. Thank you so much for watching. Don't forget you can send us your emails to cricket@lineandlength.net, or you can go on Twitter. Our handle there is @lineandlength. I'm Barry Wilkinson. Next week we'll be coming to you from Georgetown, Guyana, where we'll be taking a trip down to Guyana to see what's happening in the middle of the WICB's PCL. I'm Barry Wilkinson. Bye-bye.